Hey everybody, it's Mark from the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, coming to you live on Twitch and YouTube every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Mino Spellgood and myself bringing you all your DFFOO news and talk. This is my late December, January DFFOO tier list, where I break down all the coming units, the new units, and tell you what I think is your best option for resource spending. Remember, this is a resource spending guide, not a power level tier list. So please, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, sub, consider becoming a member. Members will get early access to this tier list, and so if you are watching this early, thank you for being a member. It's only 99 cents right now. We may add some tiers to that moving forward. We'd like to expand our YouTube presence a little bit. Well, let's get to it. But before we do, a reminder about the idea behind this tier list. We are assuming that you get about 75,000 gems and 600 tickets a month. That's a little bit lower than the actual average, but it's a good starting place. So 1 gem pity and 2 kind of ticket pulls is kind of what I want to suggest to you, especially during this next few months, as a way to maybe start gaining some resources. Obviously, you're not going to pity every banner, so you might be able to save some resources from month to month, but still allowing yourself to pull a few interesting characters a month. C tier is the ones I suggest you skip. You don't necessarily need, unless they're a favorite, then pull them, of course. B tier, considering for your roster needs some gimmicky characters that might do something unique. A tier, those are the 2 characters that I think you should spend tickets on. I generally pair that with the BT character I think you should focus on, because you really do want those BT pluses for some characters, and so they are generally on that banner, which means they may be actually less powerful than those B tier characters, and that's okay. And then the S tier is the character I think you should spend gems on in hopes of perhaps getting a BT or just kind of the best character of the month. So let's get to it. A, B, C, and S. Let's start on the bottom. Characters I think you can definitely skip, and we'll go through it kind of in order as they release. The first character is Juggerin from Final Fantasy, the Crystal Chronicles, the Crystal Bearers, the least played Final Fantasy game in Final Fantasy history, yet we have 4 characters from this in DFFOO. Considerable amount of our roster. Yes, it's only 4 of 151, but still quite a few characters from this very niche game. Juggerin's reverse core, he does rainbow damage. He does rainbow damage and a follow-up attack. Juggerin's, he's kind of an ass damage dealing character. Sure, he's fine if he's a favorite. He's not. Like, who? Come on. Please let me know if he's a favorite, because you're lying. You didn't even play this game. And even if you did, he's not the reason to play that game. I think as a damage dealer, he kind of falls prey to the fact that the next 3 damage dealers, the next 3 BT plus damage dealers are the big guns, and he's just kind of low man on the totem pole. Kuja comes back alongside him with his BT plus. Kuja's BT plus very solid, but again, I don't think you should be pulling for his BT LD and his entire kit if you don't already have it. Likewise, Shantoto comes back with her LD BT plus on a banner. If you don't have her, you shouldn't be chasing her. She is, I think, one of the weaker BT plus characters as well. Ursula is a new character that we get, so we get 2 new characters this month, Juggerin and Ursula from Final Fantasy IV The After Years. So she is interesting, but she is kind of a melee damage dealer who doesn't really have a lot of other utility that I've seen. And so in an era, again, of BT plus damage dealers, and the next 3 characters coming are going to be super powerful, million damage button pressers, I think you are very safe to skip Ursula. We may get an updated Start Dash banner, which would have Lightning's BT plus. Obviously, if you're a fan of Lightning, you already have her. You probably pulled her on the Start Dash banner originally, so feel free to green her. That being said, I don't think you should chase her, and I think her BT plus effect is fairly weak. And I threw Vanille on there because who knows. But if she appears, skip her. Unless she gets early C90 or something stupid, still skip her. You'll be fine. So let's go to that B tier. those characters that may have something interesting to add to your party. The first one is Zaz, the God Emperor himself, coming back with an LD. Interesting mechanics, giving more HP damage up, and of course dealing even more HP damage up when characters are breaking and attacking broken targets. He's doing the critical damage, and just an overall solid support character. He's not really changed in terms of what he does. He's just been updated. So if you're lacking some solid supports and you love Zaz, and throw him some love, I think he's a good pickup. Fran actually gets a decent upgrade with her LD and starts with her really powerful stacking debuff, which now I think goes up to 10 stacks, and every stack gets a more potent version or an additional debuff. The cool thing about Fran is her LD call ability allows you to get that debuff, and so she is actually a really good call to go for. So if you are dealing, if you are missing HP damage up calls, among other things, she's a really solid pickup. So something to consider, Zaz and Fran, depending on what your roster needs. That brings us to our A tier, those characters I think you should spend 300 tickets on each. The first is Pain. And Pain becomes a very, very interesting character. It's been a while since she's gotten kind of a tuning pass, but her LD actually gives her an overhead buff and the ability, I think she cleanses and dispels on her LD, which is awesome. If you need another character that does that, great. But she actually changes what she does based on where she is in the party lineup, if she's left, right, or center. And so there's a lot of possibilities, and she does have kind of a stacking mechanic depending on the positions with her buff and her debuff. So I think she's a character that adds a lot of, at the end of the day, she's kind of a supporting role character with a little bit of damage and a little bit of party support, a little bit of debuffing. So, she in one sense is a jack of all trades, master of none. But in the other sense, she's kind of an interesting third slot character that has a lot of replay value. I don't know that that's really a thing in this game, but she has a lot of interesting potential. And so I really think you should be focusing on the BT that goes along with her. And so if you throw some tickets your way, get that BT, great. And I think Pain's kind of a good chase to kind of just mess around with, have some fun during this weird time, to have some options and gimmicks and play around with party setups. She's going to add some enjoyment to your team setups, I think. And then Snow. Snow's a good tank. If you don't have tanks, he adds it. This is not his best iteration. He does come back with a BT and BT Plus, which really does make him useful. But he's not bad with his LD, and so throw some tickets. Again, try to get that BT, which will not be his BT, and just add another tank to your roster, which, again, is not going to hurt. And Ice imperiling damage dealer, too. So those become in handy later on for other reasons that we don't want to talk about right now. Finally, let's talk about that S tier, the character you should spend 75,000 gems on. That is Machina from Type 0. You may already have his BT, and if that, or his LD, excuse me, I don't. If that is the case, you can pull on the Pain banner, which is the banner that does come on him, or use tickets on that banner to try to get that LD. But if you don't have the LD, I think you should spend 75,000 gems on it in hopes to get the BT, because he is the first of 3 million damage dealing units. You press his HP plus button, it can do 1 million damage if he is supported well. His BT face damage is ridiculous. He is the strongest damage dealer we will have in BT plus phase until Null and Locke, who kind of are doing similar damage. They each kind of have their own mechanic. Null's a little bit more complicated to play. Locke has a little bit more setup. Machina is the easiest. You press buttons and they do damage. He does also come back with his C90 early Shinryu and is able to be very useful in that era as well. So he is a character that you're going to get constant use of here and there throughout the next 8 months, and can really help you, especially if you're not going to plan to pull Tidus's Force Weapon. He's really going to be helpful in that early Shinryu era to help you get through that era with limited investment on very high investment resources. So that is my tier list for the coming month. Let me know what you think. Let me know who you're pulling for. Let me know if you're wrong. And of course, if you want detailed insight on each of these characters. The TCC podcast is every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We break down all the characters, all the fights, look into them, talk about our personal experience and what we do. I'm not going to actually share what my plan is because I'm going to do that in a different video. So here's, again, my suggestion for your resources. The C tier are the skips. The B tier are those considering for roster needs. A tier, 300 tickets each, although this one's a little strange because Machina and Pain LD are on the same banner. And then 75,000 gems for that LD. So hopefully you can get Machina's BT or token Machina's BT. Now, if you are planning to go for Null or Lock, I would choose one of those three to invest in. And so if you really like Lock, really like Null, pass on Machina. Maybe just pick up Pain, maybe Zaz and Fran, and then go about your way. Save your gems this month. Just use some tickets and then move on with your life, and you will be fine. Again, this garbage time is all about prioritizing who you want to play with, the kits that you think are interesting, your favorites, and then saving some resources for Shinryu and FR weapons, which will be much more useful. But hey, play your way, make your own decisions, do your own research. There's all kinds of great resources. FFOO tip, DissidiaInfo.com, TonberryTroupe.com, Compendium, database, so many awesome resources out there for our community. And so we thank you for watching. Do like, sub, ring the bell for notifications. Consider becoming a member so you can get early access to this and maybe some other exclusive videos. Let me know what you're doing, and do join us every Thursday night here on YouTube live for the Crystal Chronicles podcast. Until next time, friends, have a wonderful holiday and good luck.